Check 1, 2, test 1, check 1. Check 1, 2, test 1, check 1.
Why then both would still rather go to boot camp over fast food?
I haven't done fast food, but I do work at a restaurant. Like,
Restaurant's a little bit different though.
I work retail because like it's all the terrible stress, but with tips.
Yeah.
I mean, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
I hate fast food so much.
No, I'm good. See, I don't understand.
I'm Christina Berrigan, Chair of Department of Theater and Film.
Perfect, thank you. Hi all, we're using AI transcriptions. So I'm just going around and having all the guests, instead of doing sign-in, just introduce yourselves, and then AI picks up who you are.
Edwin Torres, Director of Veteran Military Connected Student Center.
Jacqueline Mesa, Outreach Coordinator at the Veteran and Military Connected Student Center.
Tommy Skaggs, KCWU FM.
Elliot, KCWU.
Gretchen Loos, Department of Communication, Observer Newspaper, and Pulse Magazine.
Perfect. Thank you, my dear.
Alrighty, thank you all for showing up today. Thank you to our S&A members. I believe we have a full attendance today, so I'm very excited. But I call this meeting to order at 3:03 p.m. Alrighty, Chairman Alex, Committee Chair Alex M. is here. Vice Chair?
Present.
Parliamentarian Rachel?
Present.
Alex C.
Present.
Abby T.
Present.
Eros S.
Present.
Austin B.
Present.
And all three of our advisors are present. Alrighty, moving on, we will go to the approval of the agenda. It should have been sent over in the email and is also,
I was just going to say, I do have one addition to the agenda I need to make you all aware of. It dawned on me after I sent this to you all yesterday that I didn't really clear up all of the votes that need to take place for the reallocation. So this is an amended agenda from what I sent you. So I just want to make sure, so it's up here. It's also in the Teams for you. But the only change is this, in fact, that I just detailed out each one of the individual votes for the individual amounts asked for in one presentation. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
alrighty.
Motion to approve amended agenda as written.
I second.
Alrighty, motioned by Ba, seconded by Alex C. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, please raise your hand if you're approval. Alright, motion passes unanimously. Alrighty, moving on to the approval of the meeting minutes. You can find those in the emails also. Yeah.
Oh, 23rd. Y'all, I'm sorry. I was looking for the 30th, and I realized, of course, we couldn't have meeting minutes for today because it's happening.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from last week as written.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? Alright, all in favor? Alright, motion passes unanimously. Alrighty. Moving on to our reports. There is no reports from the chair. We have a report from the advisor.
Just a reminder to all of our base funding presenters today that you all have 10 minutes to present and 10 minutes for Q&A. If additional time is needed, one of the committee members will motion for an extension, and then they will vote and approve for y'all to continue.
And there's no reports from ASCWU representative. So we have not had any communications received. So I now open to the first call of public comment. Alrighty, with no public comment, we'll get right into new business. Our first base funding request is for Pulse Magazine. Before you begin, will you be doing a dual presentation with Pulse and Observer again? Or, okay, cool, all right. Well, let me know when you start, and your 10 minutes will start.
And would you like a clicker, or would you like to stand up here and click through? Okay.
Well, thank you again. Let's go ahead and start our time. Thank you so much for having us today. What was it? Okay. Thank you so much for having us today. My name is Gretchen Los. I am the admin for the Department of Communication, and I represent student media on the business side. Today I want to talk to you about our base funding for Pulse magazine. To give you some background, we of course are familiar to the committee, but to remind you, we are an evergreen lifestyle entertainment magazine here on campus. We are part of student media, which means our motto is by the students, for the students. We are one of 3 organizations on campus alongside the Observer and Central Communication Agency. We are housed in the Department of Communication. Our publication publishes once per quarter. We are associated with COM 446 if you are interested in taking the class. We do have paid staff who are optional to take the class but not required to enroll. Our publication attracts students of a variety of backgrounds and majors, and is a multifaceted publication where students can practice a variety of disciplines from design, photography, writing, editing, and so forth. We print about 1,000 publications when we print, and we rarely have copies left over. The committee will be familiar with this graph as we presented in supplemental funding before. This is just a brief history of our allocations from fiscal year 2019 to this current fiscal year. As you can see, we were making around $20,000 from the S&A committee prior to fiscal year 2025, when the committee cut our funding to about $2,000. And you'll also see our revenue. We do have ad revenue come in routinely for Pulse magazine. You can see that it inclined in fiscal year 23 with my hire for business manager. And we hit a peak in fiscal year 2025. We would like to hit another peak in fiscal year 2026, but we are only halfway through. To put that in another perspective, we were cut 89% of our budget from last year to this fiscal year. It was very detrimental, and we've had to come before you for multiple supplemental funding requests, which we are very appreciative of. But it is very crucial that we receive S&A funding. As I said, we are by the students, for the students, and what that means is that our student publication is entirely student-run. It is student experiences, student ideas that form the publication, and is delivered to our campus. We provide voices to the student experience from a variety of backgrounds and try to represent our diversity here on campus. Our magazine is nationally recognized, and we bring ideas and content from students that students care about to our campus. Like I said before, it is interdisciplinary, so we attract students from all kinds of majors, from communication, film, art, English, and more. And it also allows students to have a practicum in their discipline. They get to practice their photography, practice their design, practice their writing, and so forth. Like I did say before, we do get ad revenue for our publication. However, it is not a replacement for S&A funding. To give you an idea, this is how our income has been organized for the last few years. In fiscal year 2023, with my hire, we began to get ad revenue again, as I was able to commit time to recruiting ads, and that came through fiscal year 2025. But you can see that our majority of our funding was from S&A allocation. For fiscal year 2026, you can see where our allocation dropped, and our advertising has dropped as well. Even though the committee did approve supplemental funds for fall 2025, it was too late to procure any ad revenues for fall. So it just goes to show that there's no guarantee for ads, and if we cannot guarantee advertisers a publication where they can place their ads, we can't get that revenue. So cutting the publication cuts our revenue. Recruiting for ads is not a substitute for funding. Oh. Oh, and we're back. Despite our cut from last year to this year, we have continued succeeding on the national platform. On the national stage, we've gone to, in academic year 2024 to 2025, we attended the ACP conference in California, where we won a variety of awards, as well as Media Fest 2025 this fall, thanks to supplemental funding. Our publication is nationally recognized as well as regionally recognized. We had a publication, I believe it was the Exploring Snoqualmie Tunnel that you see at the end of 2025 there. That was the winner of the national round, and then we placed second in the nation. Our covers have been used as examples at national conferences, so we are bringing a lot of publicity to the university. Wow. Maybe it'll come back? Yeah. Now we would like to go over our proposal with you. You're going to see a lot of numbers over in the next couple of slides. What I would like you to pay attention to is the bolded number. You will see that this request is slightly above what we submitted to the committee. That is because our internal department discussion, we had to adjust for miscellaneous expenses that were not taken into account. So I would appreciate the committee to focus on that bold number. Like I said, we print quarterly. However, we've cut our magazine from an 80-page magazine to a 60-page magazine. We can still print 1,000 copies per quarter. That would be about $12,840 for the year. Our student salaries, we're asking for 38 paid hours per week across several positions. That would be $18,527 for the year. And then we are asking for our basic operating costs, including our website platform for $276 and our website domain that we have to renew annually for $16. The other cost that we would like the committee to consider is the Issue U subscription we have, where we archive our magazine copies. That is an online portal where we can put the magazine online. And $500 for professional memberships and awards, so that we don't have to keep coming to you for supplemental funds when we are looking for award entries, submissions. And then we would also appreciate $100 of miscellaneous funds for our Google Drive as we are running out of storage. That brings our total for each year to be $33,047. This is just a graph to kind of show you how that money would be spent over the course of a year. Again, that allocation would be that $33,047. And that $540 that you also see bold at the end, that would account for our student benefit costs, but it is included in that $33,000. Alternatively, if the committee decides that cost is too high, we understand that money is tight nowadays, we would be willing to cut student salaries to a minimum of 25 paid hours, which would cut salary costs to $12,847. This is the bare bones that we could do, and this would bring our ask to $27,398. Again, that's just showing how this money would be spent over the year. You are our lifeline. We honestly, even though it has been brought to our attention that we should look for other ways to sustain ourselves, we can't survive off of advertisements alone. We do have foundation accounts, but that comes with restrictions as well as uncertainty. Without S&A, we can't continue to serve our students on campus. We're asking you as students to advocate for them so that we can continue to bring them our material. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hello? Oh, okay, sorry about that. Could you go deeper into what the professional memberships and the ISSUU is?
Yes, yeah, let me back up. So Issue U is an online platform where you can upload PDFs, and that's where we archive copies of our print magazine. For professional memberships and awards, we are members of Associate Professional of Journalism, which is a national organization. We are also part of the Associate... Hey, Jen, can you help me out with what ACP stands for?
Yeah, sorry, just taking my microphone. Yeah, ACP is the Associated Collegiate Press, and it's one of the leading college level press associations. The other one is the Society of Professional Journalists, which also houses professional journalists, as the title indicates, but they have a college branch as well.
Thank you, Jen. Basically, that $300, those organizations host awards annually, and we require a fee for submission for consideration.
Thank you.
Small follow-up question. Do those fees count under the roughly $1,000 in subscriptions that you guys pay?
So,
On the breakdown, the big, yeah.
this one?
I was looking over.
Oh, yes, where
Yeah.
it's 1,024.
Mhm.
Yes, that is that amount.
So I just want to say, first of all, I think, actually, I don't know if, am I allowed to express personal opinions? I don't think so, right? Okay. How much, I know it will do a lot of damage, but I just want to know how much damage would it do to Pulse if the student hours were cut from 35 to 25? Because I think that would be extremely detrimental.
It is not ideal. But thank you for pointing that out. Yes, going from 35 to 25 would be detrimental to our students. Our students put in countless work. If they are enrolled in class, this, again, that is not a requirement. But if they are enrolled in this class, this pay is in addition to their course credit hours. And even then, they put in a lot of work for a really big publication. So I would highly appreciate if the committee were to give us the full 35 hours. And I know the students would be very appreciative as well. That being said, unlike Observer, Pulse prints once a quarter, and printing is really our life and blood. So even though 25 hours is kind of a compromise and we still want to compensate our student for their time, yeah, 25 would be our minimal that we could do.
I think I've said this, and I'm probably going to say it again. But I personally think cutting hours for students is never any way to go. I'm not saying this in any way or anything. I'm not directing this at all to anyone, obviously.
I agree
but
with you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I personally believe cutting hours is not negotiable in my opinion. I mean, students need jobs, and jobs are kind of hard right now.
I will say that we're operating at about 24 hours this quarter, based off the supplemental funds the committee granted us back in fall. Just to give you an idea of.
Add though can I add something to that?
Go, Jen.
Yeah, I was just going to add that our students, because of the funding situation in the fall, we had students who had to work for several weeks without a salary at all. And this quarter, our two lead designers are splitting the lead design salary. I mean, we're running at a bare minimum, as Gretchen said, and I think that we could do better to compensate our students for the work they put in.
With the topic of the supplemental, as far as I'm aware, Observer and Pulse have been given funding for fall and winter. Considering we are almost halfway through winter, are we going to see another supplemental request from Observer and Pulse for spring?
Yes, you will. This has been preoccupying my time, but I will be submitting that shortly.
Okay.
All right. So on your fiscal year 25 annual report, it says that Pulse Magazine allows all 8,000 plus CWU students to practice the written and oral communication skills that the general education program aims to teach. What is required for a student to join your Pulse team?
In terms of how they can join the team, or requirements for the course?
How they can join the team. How do you justify saying that the magazine itself allows the entirety of the student body to participate in practicing their First Amendment rights?
So I can speak to the hiring of the team for sure. Students, if they have not been hired by the university before, are welcome to apply to a job just like any student job on the website, on CWU's portal. It is kind of favored for people who the faculty advisor knows their work, the lead editor knows their work, so it's beneficial for them to take the class at least one time around so that their abilities are seen, as well as how well they take on information. But it is open to all students.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, please.
So the blurb that you were just reading mentioned the writing, and we don't actually ask any prerequisites or prerequisite experience or knowledge or skills to come into Pulse as a writer. So that's why we say we're open to any student. It's true that to work on our design staff, because we have a lot of interest in joining that staff, we do only select people for the staff that have InDesign skills. So, and with photography, depending on the size of our staff, if we can welcome people in that don't necessarily have photography skills or cameras, we like to be able to. If we only have a couple of photographers, then they generally have to come in with those skills and usually with their own equipment as well. So it's really the writing staff that can come in, pretty much anybody at the university, if they're interested in joining us and expressing their First Amendment rights by publishing stories in Pulse, they can do that.
Thank you. Have you guys attended or submitted to any conferences this fiscal year?
This fiscal year, we received supplemental funding awarded last spring to attend Media Fest in October, this last October. So we attended Media Fest 25 in Washington, D.C. This year. I would also like to point out, Jen is the faculty advisor for Pulse and Observer. And it, like she was saying, the writers, anyone can take the class. And then we have the paid staff who have lead positions to direct that team.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if I saw, it might have been up there, but how did that specific conference go for Pulse?
Ooh, yes. So we were a finalist. Oh gosh, technical difficulties. We were a finalist. Jen, could you actually,
Yeah, so so the awards that you see at the top of the list, if that slide shows up again, I can see it because I'm on the Zoom.
Yes,
But
it's up again, yeah.
okay, great. So the Courage in Student Journalism Award was really prestigious. That wasn't necessarily a factor of being at the conference, so that was something that I nominated the students for, and they were selected from across the nation as finalists. That we were the only finalist. There was one winner and one finalist. The other awards were the ACP awards that are given at the festival. One of them, we had been selected as the best use of multimedia on a story, and that was a regional award that we won, which then sent us to the national, and we came in second place nationally. So that's pretty significant if you think about how small our school is and how small our program is. And even how small our class is compared with some of the other students groups that we see at these conferences. And then we also won a second place design of the year for the cover that you see there of the Bailador.
So we are reaching the end of the allotted 10 minutes of question time. If anybody on the committee would like to extend that.
Motion to extend this question time by 5 minutes.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, vote, all opposed? Alrighty, vote passes 5-0-1.
Okay. Considering this is a once a quarter print, what measures does Pulse take to ensure that it represents all students?
I'll let Jen elaborate on this, but personally, from what I've seen working these last 3 years with the magazine, is not only do we have a staff from film majors, photographers, media and journalism students, and then those also enrolled in the course, but I hear positive things all the time about the magazine in terms of the content and the ideas that are student born, and I feel like it's different in the Observer, as the Observer is hard-hitting news and this is lifestyle and entertainment. But I think the fact that it's a solely student publication, with the exception of mine and Jen's positions, I think that it's something really, really special and something for this community to be really proud of, in the fact that the students bring so much creativity to such an official and professional publication. Jen, would you like to elaborate on anything?
Well, a few years ago, Pulse became the first student group ever at CWU to win the President's Diversity Award. And they gave that to Pulse and spoke about not just the diversity that we try to encourage on our staff and the diversity of voices, but also the fact that we really make an effort in our photography and the sourcing that we seek out for our stories and in the kinds of stories that we cover in really truly representing the diversity of the CWU campus. And so that was a pretty proud moment for Pulse, and we try to carry that on with each new generation of students that come through.
Thank you. I'm done.
I do. Oh, sorry, I have one more question, if that's okay. So you said that the S&A typically prior to last year gave the Pulse like $20,000 allocated. Since you're words coming out my mouth. You're asking for 11,000 more this year. What areas specifically are contributing to that?
We haven't been at 35 paid hours for quite a long time. That came with the quadrennium that I entered, which was this last quadrennium, where we were facing annual percentage reductions. I forget entirely what the appropriate term is, but basically our allocation, a percentage of it went away each year. And so we had to cut student hours, and we've been operating at a minimal staff for the majority of the time that I've been here. I would say the exception was when I took a hiatus last spring, which is, and even then I don't believe we were at 35.
Thank you.
Hi. My question is about the self-support budget. I didn't notice that you planned on having any ad revenue for the next 3 years in your document, and I was just wondering, of the requested amount that you have, how much of that is going to be covered by self-support?
Thank you for that question. I did not include it because it's not a guarantee if we don't print. Unlike Observer, Pulse doesn't have an online presence, so even if we were to go, I mean, Pulse does have an online presence, but we don't have a way to host ads online. So unfortunately, if we were unable to print the magazine and we were unable to pay our students for their work, we wouldn't have any ad revenue.
I guess I would kind of hope to expand on that, because based on your request, you're requesting for money for printing and for student wages. And so it seems like, based on that assumption, by asking for that, you would be able to support some ad revenue. You know, if this was approved, then you would be able to generate ad revenue. And I would hope that we'd be able to see an estimate of what you guys would be able to do. Is that something you can follow up with?
I can go off of patterns over the last few years. Unfortunately, considering that we didn't have a business manager for, Jen could probably answer that question, for however long before my hire, who was not dedicated to finding ads for the publication, and then before that the pandemic, and then before that how much more funding we had from the S&A committee. I can't guarantee that that projection would be accurate. And in terms of relying on ads, we would of course love to supplement. So for instance, if we got the 25 hours, say we had the 25 hours of paid staff salaries, and we did really well in the fall and got $2,000 in ad revenue, then we can put that towards student hours in winter, but that is not something that I'm able to predict. I could estimate, but I couldn't be accurate.
I think it would be nice if you could kind of give an estimate of what your target is for your ad revenue, because at this point you're asking to be 100% funded by S&A, and I think historically it shows that there is an ability for you all to take the publication and the money that is generated from the publication and do generate some ad revenue. So if you guys do come up with a different number, that would be great if you could forward it to us.
I think it is for the committee itself in particular, as I do agree with our advisor that going in with the assumption that you would be fully funded or even partially funded, I think just having an estimate of the projected ad revenue of just going off of what you've had from previous years, I think that would help the decision making of the committee going forward. You can always submit it and we can review it in a new business item going forward. So.
Okay, I can do that.
Awesome. All right. Well, that is all the time we have for questions on Pulse. Moving on to a blank screen.
Like I said, it's 2 presentations. Yeah, sorry. It seems to happen when I click the next button. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Is it solved?
I think so.
Let's hope. Knock on wood. Hold on. Okay. Alrighty.
All right.
You're free to begin.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for letting me do our proposal about Pulse. And now I'd like to move on and talk about the Observer newspaper. Again, the committee will be very familiar. But as a refresher, we are a 110-year-old publication here on campus for our physical presence. We are part of student media, where that same motto applies. Again, student-born, student-produced, and student-received. We play a crucial role in our community in terms of presenting the community with news and events going on campus, as well as the community at large. We traditionally publish once a week. That's changed this year, as we'll go into a little bit later. It is associated with COM 444, and our staff is comprised of our lead editor, editors, reporters, designers, and then our writers in the class. Again, I should point out that the paid staff is not required to enroll in the class. And like our lead editor is this quarter, not enrolled, for an example. It is a collaborative effort, and all these positions come together to produce the news that you see every week, or in this year's case, every 2 weeks, as well as daily on the website. Similar funding history, just you guys are familiar with this graph. We're allocated, and then we dipped to $1,100 this year. And again, you can see that rise in ad revenue going from fiscal year 2023 to fiscal year 2025. We are doing really well in ad revenue for fiscal year 2026, but again, we are not finished with that fiscal year, so that data is not entirely there. And similar story to Pulse, only more severe. We received a 97% cut from fiscal year 2025 to fiscal year 2026, which has required us to rely on supplemental funds from the committee. Why S&A funding is crucial? It's a little different than Pulse, but along the same vein in terms of it's great that the student publication is funded by the students and delivered to the students and keeps the students centered. But also for Observer, in terms of the news and what they cover, it is vitally important that we keep our independence from the university. This allows us to publish freely without fear of ramifications. And that just goes for any kind of journalism source. That is not specific to Central. That is just, that is how things are in terms of maintaining freedom of press. Jen, can you back me up on that?
I actually can't see the slide.
Oh, no.
On the Zoom, yeah. What did you want me to back you up on?
Oh, that it's a journalism practice, that it's freedom of press is not funded by people that they are covering.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's well stated. It's, and the examples give you, some insights into the kinds of stories that sometimes the Observer is tracking down and trying to report. And, imagine if you're funded by a body that has the power to say, we don't want you reporting on this, you need to cut this out of your page 2 or whatever, then you just directly lose your independence. I mean, we're seeing it with private companies owning press, at national levels, like Amazon owning the Washington Post. So
thank you so much, Jen. Anyway, my point is that it's not just an institution here, that is a practice done in the discipline. And you can see some of the examples of hard-hitting stories that our students have produced that relate to that freedom without fear statement. Much like Pulse, even though we have suffered in funding this year, along with the assistance of supplemental funds, we've been able to achieve and be seen on the national stage. A list are just a few of our awards, but we have dozens more. If you're curious as to our awards going back years, you can find it on our website. And a slide similar to Pulse in terms of ad revenue we received. Again, I will take your feedback into consideration as that data is not provided in this presentation. But you can see that massive amounts of our funding have come from allocations in the past. And the blue represents the ad revenue we have been able to gather. Again, fiscal year 2023 with my onboarding in winter. Up to fiscal year 2025, we were doing quite well. And then you dip to financial year 2026, where there's a tiny green sliver, and then mostly blue. The blue exists in this fiscal year only because of supplemental funds. This supplemental funds we have received is not incorporated into this graph. But if we were unable to print, this blue in fiscal year 2026 would be cut probably by 2/3, would be my guess. We are currently looking at changing our rates on our rate card to ad vendors. The risk of that is that not as many people will purchase ads if ad costs increase. But we are currently exploring that avenue. And we've been able to accumulate, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we've been doing pretty well given our funding crisis at the beginning of the year. So for our ask for Observer, our dream world would be $66,023. That would mean that we're printing every Thursday, going back to how things were. That would be 65 paid hours per week total. This staff is larger than Pulse, as they do work and publish more often. They do more work in terms of weekly work and publish more often. It requires several leadership positions. Our fixed costs include our website, bless you, which is $850 for our website platform and $45 for the website domain annually. This is different than Pulse's website because Pulse uses Squarespace, whereas Observer uses Snow because Snow has more capabilities and we're able to host ads online as well as generate more content more frequently. We do still have an office printer that will stay with us until the contract is finished sometime within the next fiscal year, but that is $97 on average per month. And then we also have Issue U, similar to Pulse, where we archive our issues. And Observer often applies for more award entries, which is why it's $575 for professional memberships and awards. And we asked the same $100 for miscellaneous storage space. This is how it would break down over the course of a year. You'll see that 66,000 highlighted and then $1,000 bolded at the bottom there. That is student benefits that is included in the 66,000. Our how we've been kind of operating this year is kind of how we can afford to operate. We've been asking you guys for our bare bones staff and our printing. So this would basically be asking for what we're currently doing based off of supplemental funds we were awarded, where we would print every other week. We would still keep 65 paid hours of staff over multiple positions. Pulse is different than Observer in the fact that they print once a quarter, so they favor printing funding over student hour funding, whereas Observer, these kids work so many hours a week. I believe Jackson spoke to you about that at our last supplemental funding request, but they have design nights every Monday and Tuesday. Even with the paper coming out every other week, they're still meeting routinely and to keep the website updated. Basic costs, fixed costs would just stay the same, and that would drop us down to $52,011. But in that drop, we would see a drop in ad revenue, particularly if we were to use an example of, we use a company called Flight Desk, who is our middleman for ads. That's why you see Planned Parenthood run in our paper. We have an arrangement with Flight Desk to channel that campaign to us. And if we were to print half the time, we would lose half that ad revenue. Again, the breakdown of how you can see that play out over the course of a year. And very similar to Pulse is that we rely on you. The fact that we have any ad revenue at all, with minus a small amount for web ads this year, is solely because of the supplemental request that we presented to you and that you approved. I highly implore you to consider our funding proposal, because we live in a time where I think that freedom of press is becoming a little bit more precarious. And Boss shaking his head. Sorry. It's vitally important that students receive news from other students without a subjective voice. Where students can report on the events happening on campus and in your community not only deepens the connection between student and student, between student and knowledge. Without a newspaper, there would be a lack of information on campus and a less informed student body. So I highly ask of you to consider our proposals today, and I greatly appreciate your time.
I'm just curious, for your ideal budget, you asked for 66,000, but for your adapted budget, or the lower budget, was 52,000. And the difference was, for one, you would print every week, and the other, you would print every other week. But I'm curious as to know why. If you were to cut your printing down by printing it every other week, why would you have the same number of hours for student workers, if I may know?
So the students still work every week in terms of putting news on the website. The only different, and preparing for the paper the next week, I would say that the only difference would be in terms of design, because students spend Monday and Tuesday night along with putting stories together and finishing their stories and deciding what gets cut, designing the paper and the layout that you see in print those 2 weeks. So that is why.
If I may, follow-up question. If you were to print every other week, would you be printing the same quantity as every week, or would it be double because it's less frequent?
No, it would still be the same quantity, 700 copies of a 12-page paper.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question with that. If you were to receive the full allotted amount, how would student employment look different than it is right now?
So student employment, I would also like to point out, this is not a fully funded historically. Historically, Observer got closer to $100,000 back in the day. And we had about 80 to 100 paid hours per week for Observer back in the day. So 65 is the minimal we could do for student salaries. It's different than Pulse in that way. And it's also a larger staff.
And it is about the ad revenue for this one. So I think in the past there has been definitely a decline in your ad revenue for these. And in just kind of looking though, like you had mentioned in 2023, I'm just looking at the 4-year report, then it's gone up significantly. And in FY25, you all had $17,000 in ad revenue. The year before it was 10. And so do you kind of expect that that is going to be like the 10 to 15,000 range going forward with
I would say it's probably closer to 10, given that a lot of that 17,000 came from flight desk ad campaigns that they ran over the course of the entire fiscal year. With each campaign, typically, Flight Desk gives us a Planned Parenthood campaign that prints every week at a full back page. And that, to give you guys some specific numbers, that is about $540 per print. So if we were printing every week for 10 weeks, it's a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
And printing every other week, still a good chunk of change, but half the chunk of change.
Okay, and I just have one more question, and I'm hoping that we'll get maybe an updated numbers that includes some of that. But my other question is, besides Planned Parenthood, who else, what other advertisers, like, do you guys have in Observer?
Sure. So we have, in addition to Planned Parenthood, our home department communication purchased ads in Observer and Pulse in a package deal. I'm happy to provide you guys with a copy of our rate card where our prices are currently printed, and I can send you what our updated one is going to look like. But so COM, the Multicultural Center, Sociology has taken out ads, the Learning Commons has taken out ads, not Sociology this year, I apologize. Learning Commons has taken out ads. We had a couple of people in the community reach out for ads. I'm blanking on their name. Christmas in Washington, I want to say is their name. They took out an ad on the website over the Christmas break. So it's not just campus, but businesses around town use us to gain exposure from students.
Are the students in what are identified as your leadership positions paid more than other students on your team?
No, everyone makes minimum wage.
All right. How are stories for the newspaper selected? Is it just whatever the students are championing?
That is completely up to the students. Jen provides guidance, but not in terms of content. Jen, would you like to elaborate on your role and how students
Yeah,
can select
and I
stories?
just want to clarify in case there's any confusion that not everybody in the class earns a salary. So the positions are really only for leadership, and you have to generally be on the newspaper for a quarter or two before you work your way up to leadership. You sort of get, mentored by other students, et cetera. And the students come to class with pitches. They every week have to come to class with some story ideas. We keep an ongoing file, the students do, in their Google Drive of ideas that, kind of are back burner, that if people come and don't have anything workable, they're usually looking for events happening on and off campus. They're listening to what people are talking about. Lately, it seems like they're getting, some insights into what students are talking about from social media. And things that happen on campus. And so the students have the entire decision making power to decide what they're going to print and where they're going to put things on the page. So I'm there in an advisorship capacity. They can ask me for advice. They can come to me for help. But on no occasion am I the person that gets to say, don't run this or that. Usually it's the lead editor, the editor-in-chief, who's making the final decisions on what's going to get published.
Thank you. I have 2 follow-ups for that. Considering that it sounds like it's entirely up to student choice, how does the observer ensure accuracy against any potential bias?
I can respond to that. That's a great question. We actually really appreciate you bringing that up. And we, first of all, teach our students, the best reporting practices. One thing that's really essential is that we have our students record every interview. So if somebody comes to us and says, I was quoted out of context, or that's not what I said, we can go back to the transcript, we can listen to the recording, and we can determine if it was accurate or not. The editors, part of their job and part of why it is, not just are they working a lot of hours, but they're taking on a lot of responsibility because they're held accountable if there's errors in the newspaper. What we follow are professional standards. If we make a mistake, we say so. We run a clarification. If we edit anything online, we say so. So we try to be as best we can, as transparent with our readers as we can be. And we're always looking at ways that we can do that better so that our readers, trust us and know that we're doing the best we can as ethically, professionally, and honestly as we can.
Thank you for that. Now, one more. And this is in no way disrespectful. I just really want to ask this question. I noticed some degree of censorship in recent publications. How does the observer decide what to and what not to black out or censor?
Yeah, I can keep answering. Is Brandon in the room?
Brandon is not here.
Okay.
It's all you,
Okay.
Jen.
Because again, that is decision of the students. So it'd be helpful if I knew which ones you're referring to. They did black out the flyers, the neo-Nazi flyers. That's on the front page of this week's issue. Is that one of the examples that you're thinking of?
To be fair, it was one of the examples that I was thinking of. If I would be permitted to explain myself a little bit, because I know that sounds a little weird, but I am a black man from Mississippi. I did see the flyers, and I believe that an argument can be made that they were more of a white supremacist nature than Nazi rhetoric. And I think that censoring what was actually on them potentially does harm to the accuracy of the reporting.
So, these are discussions that the students have amongst themselves. And this is why a practicum course like this is such a great learning experience for students, because it's a real world experience. Are you guys still hearing me? It looks like the screen's frozen.
Yes, we are.
We are. Sorry. So, and in that case, a lot of times we have a conversation about it in class, after publication, and we talk about what some of the decisions that were made, or if people are struggling with decisions, we talk about it beforehand. And sometimes they'll come to me for advice, and we'll talk about, and look at examples of what the professionals do. I did ask them about not necessarily blacking out what was on the flyer, but I didn't, as a reader of the story, I didn't feel that they gave a lot of details of what was in the flyer. And so we talked about that in class, and that the editors said was intentional, and that they didn't want to, further the messages that were on the flyers by giving them more attention or more press. So I don't know that they would consider that censorship. I think that's more of an editorial decision.
I very much respect your answer, and thank you very kindly for hearing me out.
Alrighty. To get back on topic into base funding in particular, we have a question from the advisor, and then I have a few questions myself. Yeah, can we get a motion to extend the time?
I motion to extend time 5 more minutes.
Motion seconded.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes unanimously.
Gretchen, would you mind going back to your slide that shows kind of like the budget month by month?
I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. Abby started with it with the difference being about $14,000, but your student staff wages aren't charging or changing. So is it 100% printing cost to go from a weekly paper to a bi-weekly paper that is the difference in your ask?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Asking me to do math on the spot.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Okay, I have a few questions. With the rapidly shrinking pot every year, we are seeing a lot of infrastructural areas coming to the S&A committee for base funding and supplemental in particular that are, no offense, very pressing in keeping the structural stability and diversity afloat. With things frankly not looking great in the outlook for the next 4 years, I doubt we're going to be seeing a massive windfall of money into the S&A pot anytime soon unless enrollment rapidly changes. If you are fully funded and you have this extra $10,000 of revenue, ad revenue potentially, who or how will you ensure that that money is being spent effectively so that the S&A committee will be giving as much money as we need to, but you are also using the money that you have effectively?
It's a tricky question. Not tricky in the sense of, oh gosh, what do I do? But tricky in the fact that, yes, times are very difficult, and I completely understand why people who deal in an infrastructure capacity are coming to the S&A committee. I think that student media performs a very essential duty on campus, and it is very crucial that we are funded by student funds. It's very hard to receive funding elsewhere, and I can appreciate that for everyone coming to the S&A committee. In terms of what we would do with our ad revenue, we are trying to be as wise as we can possibly be, while still trying to give our students the best experience and exposure that we can. In terms of what our ad revenue could potentially be, I'm happy to get you those numbers, or an estimate of what those numbers could be. Unfortunately, there's not really an easy answer to that in terms of, in an ideal world, we'd all get our funding. We can only prioritize our students and try to keep our student experience, all student experience, at the forefront. And in terms of what I can say in this moment right now, we just can't go back to $1,000 for a year. We put together this proposal in terms of what we think we can minimally do for funding for a whole year. If you were to look at our ad funding and see how much we get per year, you also have to take into account how often we are printing and rely on that same order to come in. So it's kind of a guessing game in a way. But we would do our best with whatever you gave us. We'd just like to not be cut 97%.
I have one follow-up question. Hypothetically, let's say we fully fund Observer, and in that remaining 3 years, you have to come back for the next quadrennium presentation. What does the Observer and student media as a whole plan to do to make that presentation in the next 3 years more substantial? Because what I'm seeing here is a very student-focused organization. I'm seeing a lot of student achievements, and I'm seeing a great avenue for student involvement. But we do not know what the next 3 years are going to look like financially. So if Observer is going to continue to be funded by S&A, personally, I think there might need to be some changes in how things are being done.
I definitely agree. We have been trying to be adaptive as much as we can. For instance, for the supplemental request that I'm going to bring to you guys, hopefully in a couple of weeks, We will take into account all the ad revenue that we have gained in winter. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Please repeat the last part of your question.
How will the Observer change moving forward if given the funds required?
Yes, thank you. We also are trying, with our foundation funds, hired an ad intern this quarter to hopefully help us reach out to vendors and gain more advertisement venue. So we are trying, there have been discussions of putting the paper online. Those discussions are kind of over my position. But like we are exploring different avenues. I know that our department chair has been working with the dean and trying to find solutions. We are in discussion, but we are having a hard time finding an alternative for how we're currently operating. And that may be because we're a 110-year-old publication. We're pretty old, but we're trying to be as innovative as we can.
I would also just add from our end that we're really trying to put out the best product that we can so that we, convince people to take us seriously, to go to the website, to count on the Observer for news. And I feel like the better we work, the better job we do. I think that always reflects well on the newspaper. That's going to generate more readership, more advertising, etc.
Thank you very much for all your time. Alrighty, moving on, we have our next presentation from Theater Arts.
I can click through, it's fine. Thank you.
Alrighty. Are we good to go?
Good afternoon. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Christina Berrigan, she, her, hers, and from the Department of Theater and Film, with my request for our student employment program. So to a quick summary of what I'm here requesting is requesting an annual allocation of $30,834 to cover 6 student jobs and account for the continually rising minimum wage in Washington State. And just for perspective, Washington State minimum wage has risen 18% over the last quadrennial since January 1st, 2021. And according to your agenda, you've got some student-based wage increases, so you might be familiar. Anyhow, I'm here to ask for money to employ students on campus. It's because on-campus jobs are incredibly valuable to the student experience. They increase their sense of belonging and sense of connection with both campus, Central Washington University, and a plan of study, and just being present in space. And they can offer mentorship, community. I mean, I love this quote. It came from a great article about student employment and why it is useful and valuable on campus. So there you go, professional identity and a sense of purpose. It extends beyond the work shift. So this proposal is offers students the ability to take what they've learned or what they have and apply it within a professionally modeled context that isn't available anywhere within 100 miles of Ellensburg, and use it in fabrication shops and also equipment managerial shops, and to deepen their understanding of those contexts, build confidence, hone skills, and develop the job readiness that we all kind of want for an extra leg up after you graduate. So we're looking at, we would love to fund 6 jobs at actually quarter time. So that would be 2 scenic carpenters in our scene shop. That would be 2 stitchers in our costume shop. And that would be 2 students in the equipment checkout center managing photographic and filmic equipment. Gosh, I made an error and I propagated it through a bunch of slides and I didn't correct it. The budget for each student employee is actually $5,000. That's half of that. So apologies, $5,139 each for a 10-hour week. So these shops allow people to address unique and custom and ever-changing circumstances by using a series of various widely ranging, incredibly diverse approaches and techniques of construction that can include all kinds of different materials, and actually are often designed to include an exploration of materials and how they work in these contexts. No 2 fabrication situations are the same, just like no 2 humans are the same, just like no 2 artistic interpretations are the same. So there's endless ability to exercise and apply skills and creatively problem solve. I'll just make sure that I covered everything on that slide, because I got a little excited about people making things. They build and install stuff. There's lots of collaborations that these various positions would touch and augment as well in apparel, textiles, and merchandising, in the dance program, and potentially music. So just as a bit of additional context, so this is this year's season, not part of the allocation I'm requesting, but this is this year's season. And between Blithe Spirit, 12th Night, and Urinetown, what we're looking at here is a realistic environment, which means that people will be building things that are very rooted in reality, things that you would see in the historical moment, both clothes and scenic pieces. 12th Night is an abstraction, so there are things that are pumped up and really kind of answer the question, what if it was more, or what if it was wacky? So there are different types of shapes and construction techniques there. And then Urinetown in the spring is ultimately a fantasy. It's a post-apocalyptic fantasy, but it's a fantasy, again, exercising another set of potential materials, construction techniques, shapes, and volume. So this was all about, there are lots of different varying, usually not repeated experiences that the people fabricating things would have. Be able to exercise. The equipment checkout center is a little bit switching gears. They have thousands of pieces of photographic and filmic equipment to track, to check out, to maintain, to clean, and all of these are incredible skills to practice and to learn in that non-class environment in order to kind of to get that sense of what it might be like to add to their skills for later. This work supports the work of 10 to 24 other creative projects that are available for free to the campus community. All right, so students directly affected. So we're talking about, we would like to employ 6 students. We'd like to employ them at 6 students at a quarter time. And those 6 students would interact or indirectly support the work or the artistic, potential artistic, y'all make me nervous. Thank you. potentially support the artistic realization of projects for about 120 other students. And that doesn't include the students in our partner organizations, clubs, and departments. And all of the work that these students would do would support or create an output that contributes to the cultural context of Central Washington University and Ellensburg community as a whole. Next slide. All right. So, as Gretchen pointed out, options are good when it comes to funding options. The full request is for the $30,000 for 6 students, but this is calculated at $5,139 each for the 10-hour week, 30 hours a week. Our goal is 6 student employees, but lower budget allocations can help make this happen for students, for student opportunity, right? For this wonderful and valuable co-curricular experience. And here's a breakdown. 20,000 would fund 4, 10,000 would fund 2, and these numbers are calculated based on the assumption that we're paying a full wage. Now, work-study students change the math on the wage, on the hourly wage, and that could offer expanded opportunity for hours. But that's the request. Do I have another slide? Oh, I got super excited and buzzed through it. We would like to offer this very focused experience to 6 students for the upcoming quadrennial to experience this co-curricular employment program. Thank you. I should just say thank you and ask for your questions. You have amazing questions. So thank you.
Good oh yeah, sorry. I was wondering, have y'all historically gotten S&A funding, or is this a new program that you're starting?
Thank you. We have, but we were not funded in the last quadrennial. So we do not have funding this academic year, but prior to that we had base funding in quadrennials stretching back to 2008.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you talk about the equipment checkout. I'm kind of wondering, potentially, like looking down the line, is the equipment like? Can we expect y'all to come back and be like, okay, we need X, Y, and Z equipment, or does the equipment like health look good? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you. No. Maybe. The equipment is funded through class fees at this moment. There's a tech fee that is charged to every film major that goes into a pool that addresses maintenance, replacement of equipment. And frankly, there are other, maybe more advantageous funding streams for equipment.
I had a question.
Thank you.
Oops, sorry about that. So obviously you already have people that are doing the carpentry and stuff. Who are those people? Are they like volunteers? Is it a part of a class? Like, who's currently doing all of the things that you're trying to employ for?
Right now we have 6 student employees that were funded by a one-time, very generous donation. That donation will be exhausted at the end of this year. So we have 6 student employees, and they work alongside the staff in our shops. And there are some classes that have students that work in the same spaces as well. So there.
Perfect. And then just a follow-up question. Yeah. If I have it, still in my brain. So then, if for some reason you didn't receive the funding, how would that affect your productions, projects, etc.?
They would. We would be unable to employ any students beyond the end of this year, without another amazing windfall like we had last year, and we would rely entirely on the foundationally emerging skills of some students with restricted hours. We would rely on the limited staff that we have, and so it would scale back significantly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Who's able to check out the film equipment?
As it is funded, like the equipment itself is funded by class fees, we primarily check it out to film majors, and then film club members in that order. And film club is a university recognized club. Yep. You're welcome.
Am I correct to believe that you guys design sets and costumes for each of your plays? I was wondering, after the end of the play, would they be reused or upcycled for future use, or would they be discarded?
That's an amazing question. Thank you. Yes, every single design, whether it's scenic or costume, props, or even sound and light, is a custom design built for each individual production. When we're talking about costumes, props, and scenery, because many of those things are custom items, we can't reuse them quite as often as we'd like, but the things that we are able to reuse, things like walls and pieces of furniture and maybe more generic props, go into storage or go into our stock, and that we reuse and recycle. About 60% of everything that goes on stage, whether it's a costume prop or scenic piece, has come from our storage at some point. So some of the construction of every single show is about taking those elements and putting them together and making them look like a unified environment.
So just to clarify, this would be new funding for these jobs?
That is my impression since funding was discontinued.
Okay. And you said that this professional context isn't available, yet these jobs appear to be basic requirements for the plays y'all are already putting on. That would provide the context to practice these professional skills, no? During your presentation, you said that the professional context for these skills isn't available for students to practice within quite a wide range around our location, but they're practicing them to put on your plays already. So how do you justify your statement? Thank you. Final follow-up. Where did that donation to pay these students come from previously, and is there a reason you can't get it again? Thank you.
Alrighty. I have a few questions myself. If somebody would like to make a motion to extend.
Motion to extend the time for questions by 5 minutes.
I second.
All right. Is there any discussion? All right. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. How much of this is/could be covered by the theater department itself, and have those kind of discussions been had with the department about funding these roles?
None of it, and yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Cool. Last year, as far as I'm aware, there were some issues between the boundaries of what was enrolled coursework and what was the job itself. I believe the Killian guidelines were some of the reasoning used last year. Am I correct in that?
correct, but I would like to make a adjustment. It wasn't any question because these are not related to course credited classes. The positions, if I understand correctly, are not always given to students who are already in the class. They could be an aviation student, perhaps, to take the role.
Okay.
It was more along the lines of the students felt like the university should support something that goes to support a program we offer.
Gotcha. Okay. Then that question is answered then. All right. Oh, wonderful. I will wait for. Gives me a chance to look at this.
We are taking a pause to replace batteries.
So I'm going to put on the elevator music and we should be good.
Check one.
Thank you.
Alrighty. So, with the historically, with the funding from the S&A Committee from 2008 and the lack of funding from last year, what benefit does this have to the campus as a whole, and why should student funds be used in particularly for this area? What benefits have you seen, I guess, in the time this has been active, and why should we fund this?
Why should you fund it? The ultimate output of the things that are built in the fabrication shops become part of cultural offerings available to the whole campus. Yeah, and that, I think, is an important thing to sustain on campus, to be able to have access to different points of view, different stories, and also see what's on the students' minds when it comes to student-created stories and student-created art. Most of the filmmaking that happens through the film program is student-created art, student-generated stories, and they're an amazing reflection on what the students are thinking about and what they're concerned about and what they want to explore. This also, theater and film output on campus, just like art and music output on campus, all contribute to the larger cultural context of Ellensburg, Washington, and the university's commitment to be a partner as part of the creative district. We are one of two quadrants, as they say. I know, quadrants. That contribute to and enliven cultural and artistic activity in Ellensburg. So I know I kind of like scooped past the students, but I scooped them into the larger community as well. So this is an enhancement to that experience. Yeah.
One last question from me. How are these 6 lucky students who are selected to be paid? Well, how are they chosen?
They apply through the Central Washington University job portal. So they submit a cover letter and a resume, and they are selected from there for their skills.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no further questions, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I appreciate your time.
All righty, moving on to our last new business item, we have our presentation from the Veterans and Military Connected Student Center.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here, taking the time to listen to our base funding request. I am Edwin Torres. I am the director for the Veteran and Military Connected Student Center on campus, and I am joined by our outreach coordinator, Jacqueline Mesa. before we kind of get too far into the presentation, I do want to take some time to define some terms that you may hear throughout. So the VA is just short for Department of Veteran Affairs, VMCSC, Veteran Military Connected Student Center. It is a mouthful, so saying it more than 5 times is tiring. So student veteran, this refers to a student that served in the military but is no longer serving and has been discharged. Service member, student who is currently serving in the military, either on active duty, in the reserves, or in the National Guard. And a military-connected student, for our context, is a student who is the child or the spouse of a veteran or service member. And lastly, school certifying official refers, SEO refers to school certifying official. So this is just going to have a quick look at our current staff. As I said, myself, Jacqueline, and then we also have an office assistant, Shelly Smithgull, and currently are in conducting our search for our program coordinator position. We also have 6 student employees, but something to note with our student employees is they are fully funded through the VA, so it does not come from this allocation. One day I will have this memorized, but it is not this day, so I'm going to read this off. The Veteran and Military Connected Student Center is dedicated to supporting student veterans, service members, and their families through their educational journey at CWU. We provide outreach to prospective students, assistance in navigating funding options, and programming that builds support and awareness for our community. So this slide shows kind of a distribution of where our students are located. As you can see, majority of our students are here on the main campus, followed by the next largest population is online students. And then there are students that are at our center locations as well. Looking at kind of current numbers, our students comprise of 7.82% of total student population as of this winter quarter. And so with this, we serve approximately, well, the last time I looked at our numbers, sorry, we are serving 609 students. This is one of the largest classes that we have served, to my knowledge. And it kind of leads into our next slide here. I'm trying to run out of room. Regarding school certifying officials, so myself and Jacqueline serve as the school certifying officials for CWU. And a school certifying official is primarily just the liaison between the university and the VA, and we are in charge of reporting enrollment certifications to the VA. This allows students to receive their funding and access the full benefit that they're entitled to. So VA recommends 1 SEO per 125 students, and as I mentioned, we are serving currently around 600 or above 600 students, and so currently we're operating at 140% over that recommendation. We do our best to report enrollment in a timely manner and make sure that our students aren't feeling that impact. But I am excited that we'll be bringing on our program coordinator, which will bring us closer to the ratio that is recommended by the VA. So as I mentioned, approximately 550 to 600 enrollment certifications are processed every quarter for our students. The financial impact of that is approximately $2.4 million annually in tuition and fees reported and received, and this is only for our post 9/11 students because they receive funding directly. Yes, so our outreach coordinator position is partially funded through our S&A allocation and 70-30 split funded. So this, like I mentioned, our outreach coordinator serves as our additional school certifying official, and is the primary staff member leading our event coordination and also contacting prospective and new students and helping them establish their benefits on campus. This position also assists with admissions and recruiting, preview days and orientation events and high school visits and other conferences that we may be invited to. And now Jacqueline's going to talk a little bit of our programming, which is the other part of our allocation.
Thank you, Edwin. Hi, everyone. I'll be sharing our department's programming and activities we facilitate throughout the year. In the fall, we kick things off with our Student Welcome Fair, followed by our Veterans Week of programming. During the winter quarter, we launch our book club, and in the spring, we host our Memorial Day event. And we close out the year with our graduating luncheon, where we honor our graduate students and recognize our salute inductees. The Student Welcome Fair is a tabling event where students connect with campus partners. This is one of the most important events as we offer because it supports service members transitioning into civilian life. Many of these students are coming directly from military service into an academic environment, which can be stressful. The Welcome Fair is often their first chance to see and experience the community and departments that are here to guide and support their educational journey. Our Veterans Week programming had more than 100 participants. The programming was centered off of the survey we provided for the students to request the type of events they wanted. For Veterans Week, we programmed a career workshop, a veteran hangout for students to socialize, and had a counselor provide ways to manage everyday stress. We closed off Veterans Week by collaborating with Habitat for Humanity and volunteering. We excitedly chose Bombs to Charles by Jessica Paraki for our book club. We're especially excited because the author will be visiting on campus in April for a Q&A about her book and her military experience. The book club is also offered for staff, students, so you guys are welcome to join as well. Another event we have is Memorial Day event. It's still in the planning stages, but our goal is to design a program that reflects our students' interests and honors their feedback. We regularly use surveys to ensure student suggestions are heard. Finally, we conclude the academic year by celebrating our graduating seniors at our annual luncheon, where we present challenge coins and commencement cords. Throughout the year, we collaborate frequently with campus partners. I have assisted admissions with NACAC and various new student orientations, and I will also be participating in the upcoming preview days. We partnered with the Health Promotion Office with the Coping with Clouds program and look forward to participating again this year. Additionally, we work with community nonprofits such as Project Healing Waters, an organization dedicated to the physical and emotional rehabilitation of injured and disabled vets through fly fishing. This is just a snapshot of the programs we're currently involved in and are regularly adding new collaborations as they come to our attention. Due to being limited staff, we weren't able to join as much as we'd like.
Thanks, Jacqueline. So our total budget request is here, $38,401. As you can see, the majority of that is going to funding our salary for our outreach coordinator position, which means that a reduction in our requests would kind of impact our ability to maintain the level of programming that we have for our students. Additionally, I think it is important to mention that through SES collaboration, we did agree to a 20% reduction in our requests from the last cycle. And so with the allocations that we have received in the past, we have been good stewards, and we continue to find ways to collaborate and partner with our departments and find creative ways to find solutions for limited funding. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a quick question about the students who are in the ROTC program. Are they served by your office as well?
Kind of. So if they are using a VA education benefit, they will come through our office so to get that established and for them to be able to access. Additionally, we do have a good relationship with ROTC, and if any of their students need any of our services, we're more than happy to oblige. That really just kind of goes to any student on campus, anybody that walks into our center, we're more than happy to help. In addition, all of our programs are open to the campus. There are only a very few, or have been a very few in the past, that were specific to student veterans.
Can I ask one more question? Sorry. I remember you all had some events in your office where you were bringing some of the students in to play video games and kind of doing some of that. Do you still have those kind of events where you're able to bring them into the office?
Yeah, definitely. So we haven't had them this year just because the student that was kind of leading those events has no longer works with our office, and so we haven't done it as much this recently. But yes, we still have the equipment. If anybody wants to stop by and try our racing simulator, we have a board. You can put your time down. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes. You mentioned the VA education benefit a couple of times, but I
Yes.
don't believe details on that were in your slides. Could you help us understand what that is?
So VA education benefit is just kind of like a overall term. It can be used to describe things like the post 9/11 GI Bill, the Montgomery GI Bill, Montgomery GI Bill for select reserves, Chapter 35, which is the Dependent Education Assistance Program. But all these programs are under the VA education umbrella.
This might sound I'm sorry, but
Go ahead, man.
that was a lot of bills.
Mm-hmm.
Could you help us understand why why these students need this?
Yes. So I'll definitely love to kind of spend more time going into detail, but I'll try to kind of hit the wave tops of each bill. So the post 9/11 GI Bill, I would say, is the most robust education benefit that the VA offers. This is offered to service members who completed 36 months of active duty service, or the family members who were transferred those benefits by that service member. And so what it provides is tuition, full tuition and fee coverage for our students. It provides them with a monthly housing allowance based on their credits and rate of pursuit. It also provides them an annual book stipend of $1,000. And so that's the most robust one, followed by Montgomery GI Bill. This pays our students a flat rate for their attendance. So most students who are using a VA education benefit have to be in at least 12 credits or more to access them or maximize the amount that they receive from their funding. So Chapter 35 is a Dependent Education Assistance Program. So this is for family members, so children, spouses of qualified veterans. And so for qualified veteran, that is a veteran who has 100% permanent and total disability with the VA or was deceased or missing in action. So, but all these benefits provide similar amounts, but it's the monthly stipend varies just depending on what chapter of benefit that you're using.
Thank you. One final follow-up question for that one.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens to these students and their benefits if you guys are not fully funded?
Yes. So if we're not fully funded, we would prioritize, obviously, Jacqueline's position with the funding that we are allocated, because it is vital that we have this position to be able to report enrollments on a timely manner and ensure that our students aren't suffering because we don't have the capacity to report. So really, if we're not funded fully, it then kind of is directly impacting how we're able to support and the capacity at which we're able to support our programming throughout the year. So, you know, that's kind of, I think kind of Jacqueline mentioned earlier, but service members who are transitioning from military service to a university setting, it's pretty, I'm not going to speak for all veterans, but from my personal experience, it was really hard, right? It was hard trying to find a new support network. And this is what our programming is really about, is trying to provide those spaces so those students feel comfortable and can access something that is familiar to them and is kind of dedicated to them, right? And so that's really where the impact we would see would be.
Thank you.
Kind of, not necessarily a question, but kind of responding to you, because I think I have a pretty good answer to that. So I remember last year, right when the VA itself, the administration of it itself had some massive changes. Like, for example, I didn't get any payment for like 3 months straight. So, and that was just me, but I can't imagine other students that felt that same like burden. So, yeah, it's like very important that the school gets their CFOs, right?
SEOs.
SES, yes, CFOs. Chief
CFO is
Financial
important
Officers.
too.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's both of them. But I think another point I'd like to add too, that they've also, when it comes, Edwin mentioned like working with other campuses, just working with campus activities, just working with the Veterans Center, it's been just great. So they've also been really, like really great to work with. I think I imagine that any department could work with them, and it would be just.
We would love to. Yes.
It'd be awesome. And the Veterans Center itself is a great place, and I think having more people there, like I've been there a lot, and I've seen other people go there, and there's sometimes you have people walk in, they're just not having the best day, and there's someone there to talk to, or just some place to chill. I think it's very important to have the funding and the staff there. Thanks.
Yes, we do. I forgot to mention in our presentation, but yes, we have a student lounge. It's located in Bullion Hall 214. Please come visit us. We have plants if you like plants. We have, like I said, the driving simulator, places to work. If you need to print, you're welcome to print as well. And yeah, just any other questions?
For what it's worth, I knew the answer to those questions. I was just trying to help educate the civilians.
We love it. Yes.
Randy. So I do have two questions.
Of course.
So the staffing amount for the program coordinator itself is a little over $19,000. Looking at what's being requested, there's that extra $19,000, and I don't know if I'm just looking at this wrong, but
the program coordinator, sorry, or outreach coordinator?
The remaining funding from the $38,000 request in full.
Okay, so this amount right here?
Yes. So
goods and services.
Yeah,
yes.
what would the goods and services be used for with that $18,000?
Yeah. So the goods and services, that's going straight to our programming. So kind of what Jacqueline was mentioning earlier, our kind of recurring programming that we have, it goes to maintaining those programs. In addition, it goes to supporting other, programs that we're exploring and providing the supplies and materials that are necessary to facilitate and host them. That is kind of what this amount is allocated for.
And as a follow-up to that, there is obviously an inherent benefit for our students who benefit from the various GI Bills and who are active veteran, well, frankly. As a whole, there is a lot of events and programs that you are helping with or in some way involved with. Overall, what is the campus-wide impact that this amount of funds would give the Veterans Center?
Yeah, so when I kind of focus on our programming, yes, it has the intention to directly support our students, so our military and veteran students. However, I think we also serve a secondary purpose, which is educating the overall campus on veteran cultural competency. And so through our events, it's an invitation to the entire student population to learn more about our student veterans and military connected students and learn more about the challenges that they face. I'm really excited for our program coordinator position to come in because they are going to be spearheading a lot of those initiatives for our department in terms of mental health and wellness resources and connecting and providing educational opportunities for faculty, staff, community here on campus.
Thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I was just trying to ask those questions so that the people who are civilian could get a better understanding.
Alrighty. Hi guys. All right. Could I get a motion to extend the meeting just in case by a few minutes?
Motion to extend the meeting by 10 minutes.
I second.
Any discussion? No? All right. All in favor? Vote passes unanimously. All right, cool. On to our last business items of the day. We have our deliberation and voting from last week's supplemental requests. So, as a refresher, student government, after their base funding request, came in with a reallocation, 4 different reallocation requests from the supplemental that we gave them back in fall, and also an extra one of just moving some money over. These are the reallocation requests being made. You are free to have any discussion you wish, and you're also free to make any motions you wish.
I suggest that we go through these one by one to be as effective as possible. Any discussion for supplemental request number 1? Motion to approve supplemental request number 1 as written.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Vote passes unanimously. On to the second one.
Any discussion for supplemental request number 2?
Just one point of concern. Reallocation meaning that this money is already, it's just being moved to a different.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Then just great. Thank you. I also second. What's your exact motion?
Motion to approve supplemental reallocation request number 2 as written.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Moving on to number 3.
Any
Vote passes
discussion?
unanimously.
Any discussion on number 3? Motion to approve supplemental reallocation request number 3 as written.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Vote passes unanimously. Last vote on the board.
Motion to approve supplemental request number 4.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Vote passes unanimously. Alrighty. Now, with all that, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Oh, sorry. Second call for public comment.
I'd like to just say that you all are doing a great job.
I actually do have a public comment. Next Friday, I, along with many others of us, will be coming back from Lobby Day the day before. I will likely be taking next meeting off simply because I have some other duties I need to attend to.
NRHH is holding a leadership lock-in tonight. I can't do it because of rehearsal, but that is happening in the MEC up by, up by that building, wherever. Yeah, Varno.
Is there any more public comment? All right.
Is this a appropriate time to give a heads up about a medical appointment I'm gonna have in a couple of weeks, or should I send you an email? Okay.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Seconded.
At 4:50.
Oh, sorry. Seconded.
Alrighty. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, guys.